Once again, this is the Meet the Experts series with the Public Speakers Association and me, the CEO and owner of PSA. My name is Jason-Antalek, and I am hosting the Meet the Experts series, which we do just about every couple of weeks here through the Facebook page and through our email list. Is exclusive to our incredible members of the Public Speakers Association, an opportunity for them to showcase what they do and really get it out there to the audience that's looking for what they have to offer. And today we have the very talented Ken-Fleisher. He is going to be taking over here shortly and presenting today about how to stop stage fright without practice. Because if we can do it the easy way, let's do that, right? If we can do it without practice, then we are on the right page. I like because Ken not only looks at the easy ways, but he takes a look at the hard ways too. So Ken, would you go ahead and take it away, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and then when you're ready to begin, we'll go ahead and get rolling.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Jason. Thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be sharing this with everyone tonight. I am Ken Fleisher, and I am originally a productivity coach. I've worked with clients on task management, time management, procrastination, and that's actually what led to this entire presentation tonight and this entire line that I'm gonna, well, you'll see what I'm gonna present. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started now if this is the right time. I'll share my screen. Give me 1 second to figure out which one it is. There we go. Is that up? Okay, fantastic. So how to stop stage fright without practicing. That's the title of tonight's presentation. And you'll understand shortly what I mean by that. But what I would like to do is to begin by talking about what is stage fright. Let's have a little definition to start this off. I'm going to give you a little story to begin with. When I was in high school, I was at a summer camp. I was 11th grade, I think, and a bunch of us went someplace where we weren't supposed to go. And it's because they had a zip line that went into the lake. It was really, really cool. So much fun. And on the way back, we encountered a dog. It was a German Shepherd, lived at the camp. And I had met this dog previously, nice dog. And he was trotting on over to us, seemed like he was wagging his tail perhaps. And, you know, so I decided, yeah, I'm going to stop and I'm going to greet him. And I bent down, put out my hand. And next thing I know, he lunged at me and bit my leg. So that was not a good experience. Thankfully, I was okay, no muscle damage, didn't get rabies. But that experience was something I remember vividly to this day. And even now, when I'm walking down a street and I see a dog that's unattended, not on a leash, all of a sudden, in an instant, my heart rate goes up. I start to panic. I get in like a real cautious mode. My muscles tense up. I'm ready to either run or look for something I can fight him off with if he decides to lunge at me. Of course, usually nothing happens, but it could. And why am I telling you this? Well, you can see on the screen the 4 Fs, okay? You've heard of the fight or flight response before. So the 4 Fs are actually fight, flight, food, and fornicate. And what this is the filter that's in your amygdala. Every experience that you have in your entire life first gets filtered through the amygdala. Oh, I apologize, that was not supposed to go forward yet. Every experience gets filtered through the amygdala, and it's encoded with one of 2 emotions, good or bad, right? The bad emotions take on the fight, flight, or freeze actually response. And the good things, the food, the fornicate, those are the things that make us happy and keep us alive as a human race. So those are the things we want more of. The negative emotions are the things we want to avoid. So what happens when I see that dog now without a leash and nobody's there with him is my fight or flight response kicks in. And those are some of the symptoms, is when my heart rate goes up and I start to panic, and my muscles tense. I'm ready to run, at a moment's notice. So why am I telling you this? Well, some of you who have stage fright might recognize some of those symptoms, because stage fright is actually nothing more than the fight or flight response. Okay, so how does that work? Because speaking to people is not the same as being attacked by a dog. And I think that's exactly the point that you need to understand. Some dangers are real. A dog biting my leg is real. The fire in this is real. And having fear and having this fight or flight response is a good thing. It keeps us alive. Fear is a good emotion and a good thing to have. What the problem is when it becomes irrational, okay? When the fear is imagined, when it's not real. So that's what's happening with stage fright. Some event in your past gave you that negative emotion, and you have attached to that now this response. This fight or flight response kicks in automatically and is quick, and you can't just stop it easily. And that's why your mind goes blank, your knees get wobbly, all the things I've listed here, right? So stage fright is technically classified as a phobia. And what that means is, a phobia is defined as an irrational fear of something, right? So stage fright is not just being nervous. Stage fright is when it kind of goes to the next level, and it causes this fight or flight response to kick in, which is not rational, but it also prevents you from really performing your best. Public speaking is a performance of sorts, but this is it comes for any sort of performance. So that's the important thing to take away from this, is that so far, and I'm covering this quickly because stage fright, being the fight or flight response, is widely known. You can watch hundreds of videos on YouTube, lots of TED Talks, thousands of articles on Google. Search Google, you'll find lots of articles explaining it in more detail. I'm just giving you the key points that we need for here tonight to get through the rest of the discussion. So the point here, though, is that it is, in fact, an irrational fear kicking in the fight or flight response. Okay, so let's talk again about what is stage fright. I don't like this term because it implies you're standing on a stage in a large auditorium talking to hundreds, if not thousands of people. And that is one scenario, but that is not the only scenario. Stage fright could be just a room of 10 people in a conference room, or you're talking one-on-one with your superior, somebody in a position that's viewed as above you or important. Someone important could be a celebrity that you meet. Could be speaking on camera live like I am right now. A lot of people with stage fright can't sit here and do what I'm doing. They just can't do it. Or making a recording on camera. So stage fright has a lot of different manifestations, and oh my goodness. Keep hitting the wrong thing. I apologize. I've got the thing in my lap here. So where was I? The point is that I think I need to coin a new term, because stage fright as a term is misleading. So stage fright is all those things, and any one of those things can kick in that fight or flight response. So why is it important to understand this? Okay, it's important to understand what the origin of stage fright is, because this is what we know about how the brain works, about how it encodes information. And the first step in solving any problem, I'm a scientist, is understanding how something works, right? So once you know the mechanism that's causing stage fright, now we can use our knowledge of how the brain works and how it builds these various components in order to reverse engineer it, essentially, and make it go away, right? So, the title is how to stop stage fright without practice, that is actually quite literal. We're going to get to that quite a lot. So by understanding the way the brain is working, we can do things that change the way that it works. Now let's talk about some of the popular coping strategies. Prince William, okay, he was born in the public arena. People have watched him his whole life. He's had countless public appearances, made countless speeches. He's recently revealed that he actually gets great stage fright, really bad stage fright, high anxiety. And what he's disclosed is that he's found a way now, finally, to manage it. What he does, because he wears contact lenses, when he has to speak to a large crowd, he takes out his contacts. Yeah, and for him, that relaxes him because he can't see the audience. So his coping strategy is, it's one of the manifestations of managing your symptoms, okay? There's a lot of different ways that you can manage your symptoms. So you can do breathing exercises to try and relax the heart rate. You can, you can do various distraction techniques like tapping the desk to bring you back into the moment, into the present. Focus outward on your audience rather than inward on yourself. These are things that you hear often. I spoke in a live about a week ago about taking medication, taking beta blockers to help lower the heart rate. That's really not just another coping strategy, right? You can do mindset work to try and actively refocus your mind in a different way so that you don't trigger your fight or flight response, okay? And that's great. We're going to talk about something quite similar, but significantly different from that in a little bit. So you can only manage your symptoms, right? That's actually one myth about stage fright, that you can't eliminate it. You have to manage the symptoms that you have, find ways to deal with it. That's a myth, okay? And we're gonna debunk that in just a moment. I'm sorry I did it again. I'm not used to Zoom. I admit that. I've only used it for slides a couple of times. So, but that's okay. No harm done. So the second thing I'd like to talk about is the other half of what I mentioned there, that you must manage your symptoms. That means that you can't actually cure stage fright. That is also a myth. So let's talk about Bette Midler for just a moment. Bette Midler got her start in the gay bathhouses, a local gay bathhouse in New York. She was unknown. And from there, since then, she has put out over 30 albums, I think, something like 4 Grammys, 1 Tony. She's got her handprint on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's done lots of movies. But Bette Midler has suffered from stage fright for over 40 years. Can you imagine that? She has actually vomited before every single one of those performances. That's crazy. Someone as talented and as accomplished as her can also suffer from stage fright. So this tells us 2 things. Number one is that you can eventually get over it. So I forgot to tell you the end of the story is she's finally come to terms with it. 40 years later, she no longer gets stage fright, right? So that you can cure it. So she just keeps doing it. And eventually it did go away. So that means it is in fact possible, right? There's some proof. But what it also means is when you hear people telling you just practice, right? Or just keep doing it and eventually you'll get used to it and it won't be so bad and it'll go away. Well, that might be true for some people. For Bette Midler, it was true, but it took 40 years. Who wants to do that, right? In that 40 years, her skills continued to grow. you can get better at your skill, yet still have the underlying stage fright. She was able to just push past it. But what if you don't have the resolve of Bette Midler? Let's say you're just trying to talk to your people in your company or something, right? And and you don't have this drive like her to put out another album despite your stage fright. I have talked to people who have lost opportunities, lost job promotions because they cannot follow through. It's too much, right? So it would be great if they just didn't have to have that burden, right? And the idea that just keep practicing and you'll get over it, that only works if your stage fright is really just nervousness, okay? Or if your stage fright is very, very mild. The more ingrained the stage fright becomes, the harder it is for that to really work, because the fight or flight response will keep kicking in. Now let's talk about my German Shepherd again. Love that story. If I were to just keep coming up to a German Shepherd and telling myself, okay, he's not going to bite me, I keep doing it. Now let's say for a year I keep doing that to stray dogs and I don't get bitten. Am I still going to be afraid when I see a dog not on a leash and unattended? I am. And that danger is real because I believe that danger is real. So the same thing is happening with stage fright. If you keep trying it, even though the danger is not real, your unconscious mind doesn't actually know that, right? So that fight or flight is still going to keep kicking in. So what really needs to happen is we need to get that fight or flight response to just go away. And that's going to be the basis of how we do that. How did I end up back there? Okay, my slides are all over the place. I apologize. Not typical. All right, so the idea to keep practicing, that it took 40 years for it to work for Bette Midler. It hasn't worked yet for Prince William, and he's been doing this his entire life, right? So how are we going to actually just eliminate it? There are two things that you need to do in order to eliminate stage fright without worrying about practice. Okay, the two things you need to do, the first is to reframe. So we talked a little bit about how the negative emotion in the case of my dog, my German Shepherd, it was a real fear. It basically gets encoded into the brain and triggers the fight or flight response. Now, whatever happened in your past had that negative emotion and got encoded to trigger the fight or flight response, right? So what we need to do is we need to reframe that event as something that is not negative. We need to reframe it with a positive emotion. So if you do that, it will not trigger the fight or flight response anymore. You'll still have that same experience. You'll have the same memory. It will simply be reframed into a perspective that now is a positive one rather than a negative one. So the second item is belief. We need to identify and disarm any limiting beliefs that you may have. Okay. So let's talk about that for a moment. What we have here is kind of a hierarchy. If you start at the bottom with programming, that's what we talked about with Reframe. That's the emotions and the event that's sort of encoded in your brain that triggers the fight or flight. That's programmed in there with neural connections, and it kicks in about a 32nd of a second. It's that fast. So that's the programming. Right above that is the beliefs, okay? And we're going to talk about the beliefs in a moment. And if you move up to where the emotions are, that's where we have our idea that it's either a negative or a positive emotion attached to an event, right? So right in between there are the attitudes. Your attitudes are your perspective on the world. That's the lens that you view things through, right? So all of these emotions, whether positive or negative, have some underlying belief that's driving it, right? I believe that a dog who is not on a leash and who is unattended could suddenly do something unexpected and bite me and give me rabies, and I could get very sick. I believe that. I still believe that. And I think it's true because I believe it. See how that works? Now, and I'm a dog lover, don't get me wrong. I love dogs, okay? It's unattended dogs not on a leash or with a leash being loose, and nobody there. So what we need to do is identify what is the belief that's driving the negative emotion that leads to your fight or flight response with regard to public speaking. If we can identify that belief and then disarm it, there's no more negative emotion, there's no more stage fright. So by looking at those two things, reframe and identifying and disarming your limiting beliefs, both of those right there at the bottom, we can actually just stop your stage fright cold right in its tracks. And let's talk about if this actually really works, because that sounds great, but is it actually possible? So these are two of my clients. Vicky had stage fright for 14 years. She would have what's called anticipatory anxiety leading up to the event, and then especially also at the event. The things that would go through her head were the thoughts, well, what if I'm not good enough? Or why should they believe me? I'm not smart enough. She's speaking to a room of people a lot smarter than her. This would cause her so much distress. And at first, she was unable to even speak. She would skip presentations. Over the years, she's learned to use some of those coping strategies I talked about. It takes her a whole day. She has to go out and ride her motorcycle, let out her energy, be focused on that so she's not focusing on her negative thoughts. She does breathing exercises. She has this whole routine she goes through, and she can give her presentation. So she had been managing that way for many years until she met me. I worked with her for only 18 days, totally gone. She has absolutely no problem with any of that anymore. The stage fright is completely disarmed. She's making videos, cranking them out like crazy, without even thinking about it. She used to have to really work up to making the video. She's making video courses. Creates content. But she also gives live presentations. She has absolutely no problem anymore. Now, Brittney, she had stage fright for 17 years, okay, ever since I believe it was second grade. She worked with me for only 20 days and totally over it, okay? She had trouble speaking with strangers, people she doesn't know and is not familiar with, and in particular, people that she, for some reason, felt was superior to her, okay? And it was very difficult. Most of the time, she would just tell people what she thinks they want to hear rather than voicing her own opinion. She would never be confrontational. So after only 20 days working with me, she was able to just completely let go of all that. She was at an event and she had someone say something that she wanted to speak about, and normally she would have said nothing. But she not only spoke up, but she spoke against what they were saying, no, I don't think that's true because this and this. She felt absolutely nothing. In fact, during our coaching calls, when one of the early calls when she was still having the stage fright, she wears a Fitbit. She mentioned her heart rate. Offhand, I forget exactly what that was. It was a very high number, right? Her actual heart rate, just being on the call with me, her video turned off, her heart was racing. By the end, we were talking with her video on, and her Fitbit showed that she had not only a stable and normal, but a pretty low heart rate. She was just completely relaxed. It was not there. That's like empirical evidence, not even just an anecdote, which I thought was quite interesting. So these are two success stories that it works and that it works quickly. And you can actually just eliminate your stage fright. Neither of them had to practice in front of an audience, had to find speaking engagements to practice at, nothing like that. It just happened as they went through the exercises and the various things we do in the training. And so that is how you can eliminate stage fright without practicing. Reframe the event that caused you to have your limiting belief, and then also disarm the limiting belief. Those are basically the two steps. Now, we're coming to the end of the talk here now. I don't actually have a timer in front of me. I don't know if I'm over or behind, but we're getting to the end. So I have an offer. Okay, I got a thumbs up. So I have an offer for you for spending this time with me today. And I'm going to offer something I have literally never offered before. And that is, I'm going to give anyone who wants it a coaching call. And not just like some, lightweight, glossy thing. I'm going to help you uncover the source of your stage fright. That is the first thing I do with my coaching clients. This is something I've never done outside of a client relationship. And I want to just help you with that. I'm going to give that to you. And with that information, you can then look at reframing it, and you can look at disarming that limiting belief. Okay, so I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to help you learn that for anyone who wants it, in order to help you get past stage fright if you're somebody who suffers from that. A second thing, these are all options. You can choose one or all of these, by the way. The second is a coaching video. Now, I don't mean it's a video that coaches you. What I mean is the second client that I discussed, Brittney Cole. Okay, I have a video where you can actually peek inside her actual coaching calls. Okay, I put this together with her permission, and you can watch her journey from the start where she has her stage fright and describes what's happening. You can see it start working, and in the end, you can see her, you can actually watch the moment where it just releases. You can watch her epiphany as it happens. So for anyone who wants to see how this works, this video is a great look at that, because you're watching it happen. Now I have a third option, which I haven't actually even mentioned to Jason yet, because this just came up this week, but I would like to offer it to you. So for anyone who has stage fright that comes in the form of getting on camera, maybe you want to do Facebook Lives, but you can't do it, okay? Or maybe you also don't know how, you don't know how to handle the tech. You don't know what to say, what to talk about, right? There is a workshop, Click Go Live, from Justin Demers, and I seriously hope I pronounced his name right. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to get that workshop for free. Okay, so I'm not just giving that out for free. Get on the call with me, go ahead and sign up. We'll get on a call and I'll tell you how you can get that for free. But I am offering a membership to his Click Go Live workshop for free, if that's something that interests you. And you can get also the coaching video and also the free coaching call, where I will help you identify the source of your stage fright. And so that's all I've got. I would like to open it up for questions now. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Fantastic, Ken. Thank you for sharing all that amazing information. I love hearing the stories, and I had no clue about the Prince William thing. Absolutely had no idea about that. And also about Bette Midler. That was news to me as well. Those are really interesting stories. And to hear how you've actually helped people and get an opportunity to see that live and in person, there's no better way to understand it, what you do, right? Except to see it through that coaching video. So what an amazing offer for you to share that with everybody. Getting a coaching call from Ken, you guys, can change your life. I mean, he's offering to take his time to change your life, and that is a pretty tremendous thing. This is somebody who's worked with other people, worked with professionals, worked with folks that didn't think they could be professionals and have gotten to that point. That you become an expert through your own personal experience and the experience of applying that and helping others with it. So you really are in the midst of an opportunity here to connect with someone that can help you with your specific issues. And it doesn't matter how deep or how shallow they may feel, seem, or actually be. Ken can help you out with that. And he's an easy guy to work with, folks, I'm telling you. Ken and I have spent a lot of time doing videos, talking to each other, hanging out a little bit, and he's just a super fun guy to work with. Good sense of humor, very easygoing. And if he tells you he can help you, that's because he can. If anybody's got questions, I'm happy to answer those, whether that's in the Facebook group. We've still got a handful of folks watching there, and anybody that is with us in the Zoom call, we're more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. I have put in the link for you to reach out to Ken. Ken, will you share with them what other ways they can get in touch with you, please?
Sure. If you go to the website, stagefrightrelief.com, you can contact me there.
What does someone need to come to this call with?
An open mind. That's pretty much it. If you're just curious and you want to see the video, that's absolutely fine. But if you have stage fright and you want to know if this can work for you, go ahead and give it a try. This is free. There is nothing to lose. I'm actually giving you kind of the core piece of how all of this works. I'm giving it to you for free. And I've never done that before. I don't know if I'll do it again, because it's kind of big, right? But I thought it would be an appropriate thing for this particular opportunity. And, I just want to help people. That's really what this is about for me, is just helping people.
Well, fantastic, Ken. I've posted the link in the chat. I've also posted it in the Facebook feed, which means that everybody that comes across it there will have the opportunity to reach out to you. So I hope that some folks will take you up on that. Ken, once again, always a pleasure working with you. Thank you so much for what you bring to the Public Speakers Association and for what you've brought to the Meet the Experts series. We've been talking about this for a couple of months now, and it's really exciting to finally see it happen. So those of you that are with us that have registered, you'll be getting an opportunity to watch the replay. We did have a few folks jump in a little bit after the beginning, so you might have missed part of the presentation, so you'll get a chance to check that out. Also, you'll have the same option to click on the links and get in touch with Ken. He's very responsive, you guys, so if you reach out to him, you're going to hear from him. He's one of the few folks that I always know is going to respond to an email. So just have the courage to take that first step. He's somebody who can help you get back on the stage without all the anxiety. So, Ken, anything else before we wrap up for this evening?
Well, I think that kind of covers it. I want to thank you for having me as the guest tonight. I appreciate the opportunity.
I've been looking forward to it, Ken. You come prepared and you come with value, and that's what the Meet the Expert series is all about. So thank you so much on behalf of the Public Speakers Association and personally for me. And we'll do some follow-up, and if anybody has questions or has issues with the links, you can always reach out to me personally or Ken through Facebook. Easily done, and we are happy to help you get connected. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Ken, thanks again.
Thank you.